Howdy, 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 my name is Anachi Sasuke, and welcome back to Let's Read the SP Foundation Wiki. In the last episode, we covered the Sophocles Chorus, the Sculptor of Soho, the Self-Replicating Computer Program, and, the Cannibal's Banquet, and the Living Storm Cloud. In this episode, we're going to be doing the Teacher, Dorian the Grey Cat, Fractal Tinsel, Dr. Wondertainment's Ontological Six Balls, and The Flesh That Hates. But before we do any of that, two things. One, I have like a whole different understanding of Dr. Wondertainment after this past SCP Saturday video because, whoo man, was that a doozy. And thing number two, I was browsing through TV tropes because I've been trying for like on and off a couple of months now to find out why people who watch my channel have been coming in here from TV tropes. I have yet to find out what on TV tropes keeps leading people back to me, but while I was in there, I found out that there's a few tales related to what SCP-447 does to dead bodies. So, there's going to be another SCP Saturday this week, specifically for those. Because I really want to know what the hell it does to dead bodies, and if those three tales can tell me, we're reading them. So it'll probably be a shorter SCP Saturday than the last one, and there won't be anything else in it but those three tales, because I really want to know what this thing is supposed to be doing to dead bodies. And according to the TV tropes, these three links are going to give me some information about it. So, that's something to look forward to if anybody gives any kind of a damn at all. I know that's just a personal thing for me, is that post gave me some serious blue balls, and I really want to know what the deal is with this slime that can't go near dead bodies. Anyway, let's check out the Teacher. Well, it's Euclid, and they're thinking about turning it into Keter, so I don't gotta read it with the serious Keter voice since it's not Keter yet, and also it does something with SCP-28, but we'll get there when we get there. SCP-606 is currently housed of its own free will in an unfurnished 20 by 25 by 8 meter cell at Site Blank, the entrance to which is sealed by two 25 centimeter steel blast doors on either side of an airlock. No personnel are to enter the containment cell except under controlled tested circumstances or with authorization from a staff member of level 4 clearance or higher. Standard positive action defenses, explosive, chemical, biological, and memetic, are to be in place at all times, according to standard operating procedure. Due to SCP-606's non-corporeal nature, no reliable security measures in case of a containment breach have been developed at this time. In the event of such a breach, all personnel should refer to Plan ETA-6. Through use of a mobile remotely operated device, 606 is to be provided with an ordinary flash storage device containing no less than 2 megabytes of data every 12 hours. Are there even flash drives that can be that small, or is it just full up to the last 2 megabytes? Oh, it's no less than. Okay, so it can just be whatever flash drive. The data contained on the device is to be left to the discretion of 606's supervisor, but text from classic literature or encyclopedias, I don't know why they spelled encyclopedia like that, movie clips or audio files of historical speeches are ideal. In an emergency situation, this may be substituted with data in any form such as print, compact discs, or videotapes. A careful record of all data provided to 606 must be kept. It should not be given repeated information except in an emergency situation. No material pertaining to the Foundation or other anomalous objects, and it just says SCP-28, should be provided to 606 under any circumstances. And what was that one again? Okay, I guess this is just things that SCP-28 has. SCP-606 appears as a spherical mass of light in a variable size and intensity. Most commonly, it is approximately 85 centimeters in diameter and emits 220 candelas of luminosity, but has been observed to grow up to 10 meters in diameter and emit over 100,000 candelas of luminosity. 606 has been observed to shrink to 4 centimeters in diameter, emitting less than 0.5 candela. Despite its ability to emit large amounts of light, 606 emits no heat. It does not appear to be composed of any form of matter. Sorry, I keep yawning. And is able to pass through material barriers effortlessly. It is presently theorized that 606 is an entity composed purely of knowledge or information, and information obtained from 606 itself appears to corroborate this. Furthermore, it appears to derive sustenance from information growing in both size and luminosity when provided with sources of information to its aforementioned maximum size, and shrinking when it is deprived of this. It is capable of feeding off a large number of different sources, including digital devices, books, magnetic tape, and living beings, which simply involve 606 surrounding the object. This process does not appear to affect its sources in any way. Digital media stored on flash drive is used in the maintenance of 606, so the specific details as well as approximate size of all information provided may be easily recorded. The specifications for 606's maintenance listed above have been formulated through both discussion with 606 and prolonged observation. It appears to hold a preference for classical literature, for example, and the given amount has been observed to keep 606 at its normal size and luminosity. It is sapient, apparently self-aware of all knowledge it has gained over its existence, and capable of intelligent communication. It accomplishes this by producing pure sine wave tones through an unknown mechanism. This has been refined through teaching 606 a tone-based language system of Foundation's own invention, which all personnel of level 2 or above assigned to 606 are required to learn. If another sapient individual enters the containment cell, it will attempt to enlighten them, to use 606's own words. This involves it moving to surround the being's head, or a similar equivalent. This results in generalized tonic-clonic epileptic seizures for a period of 30 seconds to 5 minutes, after which the individual lapses into a coma, followed by death. EEG monitoring of affected individuals during this process has shown a massive increase in activity of all brain waves, particularly gamma and beta type waves. It is presently theorized that this is the result of 606 attempting to transfer all the information as gathered to the individual's brain through an unknown process, despite the normal human brain being unable to sustain the stress of such a procedure. Results of interviews with 606 have been mixed. Although it has previously deigned to answer some basic questions about itself and its history, any more in-depth questioning or questioning on the topics it possesses knowledge of inevitably results in a request by 606 to enlighten the interviewer and a refusal to answer further questions. Requests made to 606 to refrain from attempting to enlighten without permission have been partially complied with. It no longer tries to enlighten every individual it comes into contact with, but it still has sporadically tried to perform the process without prompting. For this reason, access to the cell is restricted. 606 was discovered by the Foundation on June 11th, 19-something in someplace France, after a rash of missing persons reports was brought to the Foundation's attention. Personnel subsequently managed to lure it into a transport vehicle and transfer it to its current facility by offering it disposable dues to enlighten. Once its non-corporeal nature was discovered, it was asked why it did not attempt to evade capture. It replied it wished to see what would occur. As 606 is able to pass through all forms of matter, it presumably stays in Foundation custody of its own free will, perhaps due to the constant supply of information provided to it. Addendum 1. Complex communication with 606 was made possible by viewers like you. On February the 4th in 2000-something, when Doctors Blank and Blank completed their work on the aforementioned tone-based language. Details of this language were transcribed into normal writing paper and left in 606's containment chamber. An excerpt from the first interview follows, conducted from a secured monitoring room over microphone. It is capable of understanding normal human speech and thus Dr. Blank's commentaries in English. Can you understand me? Yes. How did you learn to do this? I listen. Could you tell us what you are? I am the teacher. Could you be more specific? I am the teacher. I am a purveyor of knowledge. Enter this chamber and I shall enlighten you. I do not wish to do that at this moment. May I ask you some more questions? I provide answers. How old are you? I am as old as is necessary. Could you explain what you mean by that? These sounds you have taught me are limited. I may only enlighten you directly. How do you enlighten people? I teach them. Are you aware that this causes your students to die? I do not call it death. It is the consequence of being inadequate. What do you teach? I teach all that I have learned. Do you know who I am? You are that which calls itself a human. Your fellows refer to you as doctor. Do you know what a doctor is? It is a word for one who has been taught and teaches, in your own fashion at least. Can you teach me through talking to me? I wish to enlighten you. If you do not wish to be enlightened, I have no use for you. At this point, 606 halted the interview and refused to answer further questions for some days from Dr. Blank. Subsequent interviews have gained little more information of significance from 606 or the subject it claims to know about. Addendum 2. After reviewing the reports on 606, in particular Experiment 606 blank blank, I'm becoming increasingly suspicious that the deaths of its students are not accidental. The possibility that it has some malevolent purpose completely independent of its teaching cannot be discounted. Yes, everybody says that it's just trying to teach people, but all we know is that it causes them to keel over and die. No solid evidence for it actually being what we think it is has been uncovered. We don't even have any way of stopping this damn thing. Countermeasures research should be a top priority for Section Blank in collaboration with the 606 staff group. A Keter upgrade must be taken into consideration. Dr. Major. Yeah, that sounds legit. I mean, if it just puts itself on people's heads and they seize and then they die, they don't know whether or not it's actually informing them of anything, because if it does inform you, you immediately die. So how would anyone be able to know what it actually did? Sure, they can see the brain activity, but seeing the brain light up, followed by seeing the brain die, and then everything else dying along with it, does not necessarily mean they learned things. Could just be massive bolts of electricity going into their brain. We'll never know. Now it's time for Dorian the Grey Cat. He's adorable. And Euclid. Subject currently resides with Agent Blank, who it has chosen as its owner. Both Agent Blank and 607 are to be placed under full surveillance for study, and Agent Blank is to report to Dr. Blank for psychiatric evaluation every 2 weeks. A task force should be ready at all times with at least one disposable dude on hand for the subject to imprint on in case of death of 607 or Agent Blank. When not being directly held or monitored by Agent Blank, 607 is kept shackled and bound in a small portable containment chamber. The containment chamber is designed to immobilize 607, allowing medical personnel to insert feeding tubes, IV drips, catheters, or other life support devices. Due to the nature of 607, Agent Blank is elected to keep the portable containment chamber on his person or in his immediate vicinity at all times. Okay. SCP-607 is a large gray American short-haired cat of indeterminate age with a collar reading Dorian. Wait. Dorian the Grey Cat. Is this a cat version of the portrait of Dorian Gray? Okay, 607 was discovered in late 19-something when a man known as S suddenly and without warning violently expired at a cocktail party in uptown New York City. His death was later found to coincide perfectly with the moment a party attendee leaving the home mistakenly backed over the cat. Due to the mysterious nature of his death, a local Foundation operative joined the investigation as a consultant. Special Agent F. Blank had stepped outside to smoke a cigarette when he heard a cute little mewling sound. 607 subsequently bonded with Agent F, who chose to bring it back to the Foundation as a pet and companion. Agent F reported difficulty in supporting 607. The cat would not eat, became lethargic, and seemed to lack a will to live. He jokingly told fellow agents he was experiencing sympathy hunger pains. 7 days after Agent F's initial contact with 607, both he and the cat died of starvation. The circumstances surrounding Agent F and Mr. S's death piqued the interest of the Foundation, and the cat's dead body was taken to an isolation chamber until further testing could be ordered. It reanimated approximately 24 hours after its estimated death time. It was correctly speculated that once 607 bonded with a person, a negatively symbiotic relationship was formed. It bonds with the first human individual it comes into contact with after a reanimation. Several experiments were conducted, each involving bonding it to a disposable dude. Testing showed that injuries inflicted upon 607 would show up on the bonded person in the closest anatomical representation possible. Striking 607 resulted in bruises on the personnel. Breaking one of the cat's front legs resulted in the personnel's broken arm. Termination of 607 via gunshot resulted in the death of the bonded personnel via a bullet hole with no bullet found. In all of the experiments, 607 reanimated approximately 24 hours after death with no apparent physical injuries. Perhaps most important to note, however, 607's behavioral tendencies. Regardless of the bonded individual's attempt to appease the cat, it is suicidal. 607 has been observed starving itself, inflicting self-harm with its teeth and claws, running into traffic, antagonizing large dogs and then allowing itself to be mauled, eating poisonous materials, jumping into the moving parts of heavy machinery, and attempting to enter Keter containment chambers. In all cases, the death of 607 has resulted in the death of the bonded individual, with injuries and causes of death mirroring those of 607. Death and injury testing on 607 has ceased after Agent Blank accidentally bonded with it during an unauthorized breach of the containment chamber. 607 still displays suicidal tendencies despite Agent Blank's persistent attempts to form a favorable relationship with it. The agent has suffered severe bodily harm several times, leading to the decision to restrain 607 in a portable containment chamber fitted with a light support system. Agent Blank is under close observation both to ensure psychological stability and to study the relationship between Agent Blank and 607. At this time, 607 still displays suicidal tendencies when removed from restraints. It is unknown if 607 has always displayed such tendencies, or if they are due to its resentment of the Foundation and the initial testing performed on it. I mean, if somebody picked me up, found out that I reanimate, and then decided to shoot me, break my legs, and beat me, I would probably rebel too. Just saying. I imagine that Dorian knows he reanimates too. Anyway, fractal tinsel. It's safe? 608 is to be held in a vacuum chamber at all times while not the subject of active research. Magnetic levitation is to be used to suspend the object in the center of the chamber. In the event of either of these measures failing, a Class 3 evacuation of non-essential personnel is to be undertaken, and containment measures are to be restored as soon as possible. If containment failure persists for more than 1 hour, a Class 4 evacuation of personnel not actively involved in the containment of the item is to be undertaken. In the event of superpressurization for whatever reason, a Class 5 evacuation and cleanup must be performed immediately. SCP-608 appears to be a length of silver tinsel with an unusual may be surrounded by a halo of decaying particles. Any object coming into contact with it disintegrates slowly, the process being halted the instant it is removed. At the same time, the halo increases in intensity. Microscope examination, radar, sonar, MRI, and all other known examination techniques are unable to provide insight beyond the fact that the object appears fuzzy with no readily defined border. Rather, it appears to dissipate into the surroundings. This, combined with the disintegration property, led to the SCP's earlier misclassification as Euclid. Recent investigations have revealed, however, that the item's properties arise from a redacted state, or more simply its existence as a fractal. In layman's terms, the item has a potentially infinite number of progressively smaller branches radiating off the substance, in such a way that microexamination and macroexamination produce similar or identical results. The disintegration effects are due to the monofilament and finer branches slicing through a substance at the molecular or atomic level. See Addendum 1. Oh. Discovery. 608 originally came to the attention of the Foundation after reports of glowing tinsel in 19-something. Considered unlikely to be important, the item was nevertheless sought out. Unfortunately, the house in which it was kept at the time collapsed on it for reasons unknown, causing large masses to be pressed onto the object. The effect was comparable to a redacted, producing an explosive force of blank tons, that's probably blank megatons, as well as considerable quantities of alpha, beta, gamma, and redacted radiation. No survivors were found within redacted of the origin, but the item survived apparently unharmed. Research potential. The research team is currently awaiting permission to attempt firing beams of small particles at the object in the hopes of discovering more fundamental particles than those currently known. In particular, the ability of the object to baffle lasers has been the source of some speculation, and it is high on the priority list if such research is ever permitted. Addendum 1. Once the precise nature of the item was determined, it was immediately confined to a vacuum chamber. Attempts were then made to obtain a sample for analysis. Results follow. Date, blank 2000-something, steel scissors. The scissor blades are ruined, no visible impact. Vanadium hardened steel saw. Blade ruined, no visible impact. 100 kilowatt laser. Halo noticeably intensified, no damage. Table saw with blade composed of SCP blank. The halo intensified when the tool was brought within approximately 1 meter. There was a noticeable increase in both alpha and beta particles noted as the tool moved within 500 millimeters. Evacuation of non-essential personnel was undertaken before proceeding with the test. After the go-ahead was received, monitoring devices began to cease operation, beginning with the most sensitive. People up to 30 miles away noted unease, likely because of redacted particles. No more data were received after the item came within 100 millimeters of the tool. On later investigation of the site, all organic material was data expunged, along with other larger molecules such as diamonds. It is theorized that the super-dense SCP blank broke down in a chain reaction at the subatomic level. Attempts are ongoing to recover data from sources not as close to the blast point. Addendum 2. On blank 2000-something, an interference spectrometer was used to attempt to determine its composition. The test results indicate the presence of silver, platinum, and polymers containing super heavy elements. As yet, no mechanism whereby these substances could be compressed to the width observed in the item has been proposed, although research is ongoing. One suggestion is that only the main body consists of these substances and the microfibers are another substance entirely. Well, that's interesting. In a completely destructive, terrible, get rid of it sort of way. Next up, it's time for... I don't know how to handle this, because y'all know I usually do the serious Keter voice for Keter-related things, but you also probably know that I do the bombastic showman voice for Dr. Wondertainment stuff. But if it's a Keter Dr. Wondertainment stuff, what should I do here? Maybe a bombastic presentation with a deeper voice? Let me drink some water first, hold on. Also, again, sorry about the fan noises. There is a heat wave where I live right now, and hopefully the background music blocks that out. So, let's try this. SCP-609 is to be stored in individual opaque containers inside a locker at Research Facility 5, but now it says, all personnel must conduct Protocol 94 Wegner Gyatso before observing any number of SCP-6091 to ensure a clear and focused mind. Agents who locate instances of 6091 are to immediately break visual contact until the object is contained. Update blank 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 609 has been transferred. It is now to be contained in an opaque, locked bins at Storage Site 32. Because control of one is highly difficult due to ironic process theory, only trained researchers with level 2 clearance and above are permitted to view it for experimental purposes. 609A is to be secured in Storage Locker 11 at Research Facility 5. Viewing the text of A, in whole or in part, requires permission of the head researcher. SCP-609 is a collection of identical green billiard balls in the American pool style, which measure 57.15 millimeters in diameter and are believed to exist only as immaterial manifestations of a concept. Instances of 609 designated 1 are unbound by physical laws. Each instance is impervious to damage, undetectable except by the naked eye, and unable to conduct heat. Instead, they always feel cold to the touch. 1 can be manipulated by thought. When a sapient creature is in direct visual contact with 1, it will emulate the actions the user imagines, including motion, duplication, and instantaneous manifestation at a visualized location. Observers cannot alter the physical appearance of 1 or erase it from existence. According to the object's documentation, 609A is described below. 609 is intended to be a literalistic embodiment of Plato's theory of form. Researchers have conjectured that 609 can be controlled through visualization because 1 and the concept of 1 are the same object, and that 1 cannot be damaged or otherwise mutilated because 1 is a manifestation of an immutable metaphysical form. If multiple observers attempt to activate 1 simultaneously, an additional instance of 1 will manifest for each observer. As a result of its thought-activated replication, 609 is proliferated under Foundation custody. See Document A for current estimates. When 1 is relocated to or generated in an area outside of the viewer's visual range, a recovery mission is required to resume full containment of 609. Locations from which 609-1 have been recovered include the Research Facility 5 kitchen, the second floor bathroom, the apartment of Researcher Blank on top of a television, a warehouse in Pasadena where SCP Blank had recently been located, the set of television series redacted. Breach occurred during a taping, all footage of the event was confiscated and amnestics were administered to all witnesses. The frontal lobe of Assistant Researcher Blank, the mammary tissue of Researcher Blank, Earth's moon, currently unrecoverable. SCP-609 was recovered with a yellow box believed to be its packaging. The box is labeled Dr. Wondertainment's Ontological 6-Ball, trademark, in large text, although the typography differs in comparison to other products recovered from the same manufacturer. Smaller graphics below the title depict a marble bust of Plato with a speech balloon that says, "It really exists," and an unidentified grinning woman exclaiming, "Now subject to causality." A green pool ball is visible inside through a cellophane window. The following text is printed on the back. Hey kids! Have you ever wondered whether your experiences are fully authentic or if only your thoughts are real and the world around you is a web of lies? Now the question is immaterial. With your new Ontological 6-Ball trademark, you can use your imagination to make the hottest new learning toy that cannot not be! It floats! Send it into the air with your thought power. It flies! Do you think it could only float without moving? You should be sartar than that! It can go anywhere. Think real hard of any place fun times can be had. Ontological 6-Ball is probably there already. It possesses the highest and most fundamental kind of reality. All other objects which share its form are imperfect reflections of the ultimate truth. Did you create it, or did it create you? Don't put Descartes before the horse, trademark. If you don't think this is the grooviest toy out there, you must be joking. And this one explains humans. Caution! Some assembly required. Dr. War Entertainment assumes no liability for injuries, accidents, or accidental nausea caused by physical or intellectual misuse of ontological six-ball. Dr. War Entertainment does not endorse solipsism and any ominous implications trademarked that result from the ontological six-ball and are not being shared by Dr. War Entertainment. Ontological six-ball is not beholden to space-time. Ontological six-ball cannot be forgotten or unlearned. No copyright date, retail sticker, or other identifying information is present on the packaging. The package was not intended to contain 6091. The object seen through the cellophane window is a paper display and insert designed to simulate a billiard ball. Instead, the object designated A is enclosed. A is a cognito-hazardous 32-page booklet titled Dr. War Entertainment's Ontological Six-Ball Trademark Assembly Guide. The first page consists of a disclaimer. Caution! Make sure to read all instructions and warnings before assembling or operating ontological six-ball trademark. Inadequate, modified, or otherwise improper assembly of ontological six-ball trademark may result in undesired functions. If ontological six-ball trademark begins to surround you to the exclusion of everything else, making you feel confused, lonely, and like the only thing you can ever be sure of is the ontological six-ball trademark, stop playing and take a break. By possessing ontological six-ball trademark or any included material, including knowledge of the existence of ontological six-ball trademark, you agree to accept all liability for consequences, accidental or metaphysically inherent, of ontological six-ball trademark, and also consent that ontological six-ball trademark will always be a fundamental part of who you are. Have fun. The remaining pages contain comprehensive instructions on assembling 6091 through careful, directed thought. Printed in 6-point type with no illustrations, the booklet describes in exhaustive detail the appearance, construction, physical properties and behavior, cultural significance and symbolism, and other aspects of a pool ball made in America circa the 1970s, as related by someone in a state of severe mental distress. Test subjects who read A in its entirety have demonstrated the ability to generate 1 through concentration. Although amnestic therapy is ineffective in reversing this effect, it can erase the knowledge of the ability from subjects' minds, generally eliminating its use unless the subject is somehow informed or reminded of the ability, through, for example, viewing a pool table, a spherical object, the color green, or the number 6. I wonder what this other thing is. An FAQ, or what the hell is a hume? So what the hell is a hume? Good question. A hume is a way to determine the strength and or amount of reality in a given area. Now, you may have issues with reality being measured this way, and it's certainly a hard concept to grasp. One of the better analogies that can be used to explain this works like this. Picture that everything in the universe is covered in a thin layer of sand. This is the baseline level of reality 1 hume. Or it might be hume. When some of the sand is removed, by any means, there is less sand around and the level of reality is dropped. When sand is added, there is more reality around. Now, this explanation is highly simplistic, but it helps introduce the concept that gives a nice visual representation. So, using this analogy, humes or humes just measure the amount of sand in an area. Clear. But how do we define these things? What are they in relation to? Another good question. Every measurement has got to be defined in relation to something, and so we devised a way to create a hume baseline. We created 2 pocket realities that each contain Scranton reality anchors that maintain the hume levels at an arbitrarily high and low level. These levels have been designated 100 and 0 respectively. It is from these pocket universes that hume measurements arise. So how are humes measured? Via the cant counter. A cant counter consists of 2 portals to the pocket universes discussed above. Using these as a baseline, the hume level of a localized area can be measured. Brilliant! Where's your Nobel? As for Foundation policy, outside sharing/recognition of work is impossible. But fear not! We've been compensated more than adequately, and in addition, we recently got a very favorable ethics committee ruling authorizing a mission to speed the progress of outside research on the same track as us, meaning that humes may be present in the world in as little as a few years. How can humes help me? If you work with lots of reality benders or reality bending SCPs, you're in luck! First off, reality benders. These people have a twofer effect on reality. Firstly, reality surrounding them is usually slightly less real than normal. Secondly, their own personal hume reading is a little higher than is normal. The magnitude of the first and second are, of course, related to the relative power of the bender in question. Usually a low-level reality bender runs at about 75 to 80 by 130 to 150, hume level surrounding area to hume level of individual. This will be used for all future examples. Especially in the case of low-level benders, extreme discretion must be used to avoid a false positive on reality benders, as these readings can fluctuate in vanilla humans. For more information, see this lecture on reality benders. Clef 101. Let's see, it's a huge help. Powerful reality benders, however, usually run about 4300, whatever this measurement is, indicating a large ability to shape reality. Of note is SCP-343, God! Unlike all other reality benders, it does not exert any influence whatsoever on outside reality. However, its internal human readings is astronomically high, registering at an average of 860, averaged across 7 different tests and more ongoing. This indicates many things, all of which are being heatedly debated by the researchers studying 343. Finally, take the case of 239. Unlike many powerful reality benders where area of effect, internal, and external human readings are all quite large, 239 has an unusual twist. Her area of effect is quite low, and only extending to her line of sight and or imagination, which, while seemingly giving her an infinite area of effect, is really only limited to what she can actually imagine, and thus can be generally ruled out with proper containment. However, her readings are 30,500, granting her a nearly unlimited ability to shape her local reality as she sees fit. As in the case of 343, the meaning, cause, and containment procedures for this are being debated extensively. Humans can also be applied to non-human anomalies. Take, for instance, SCP-2464. The human measurement inside both the anomaly as well as 2 have unequivocally confirmed the hypothesis regarding the anomaly. See the addendum for more information. Allowing for more effective containment. And as another case, take SCP-668. This tool perpetually races the human readings within a meter or so of it by approximately 20 humans when not active. When active, the human level rises to astronomical levels across all measuring counters, and it is theorized that this effect extends across all known space. Following this realization, 1. More effective containment for 668 was put in place, and 2. Immediate monitoring of all counters commenced in order to serve as a warning system for the existence of any more anomalies in the same fashion. Finally, take the example of SCP-2000. To facilitate containment, Scranton reality anchors were constructed and deployed. Prior to this, it was not known how or why reality anchors operate. Now, we know both how the anchors work, by keeping local reality at a cost of 20 humans, and why they work. In keeping with the sand metaphor, it works like this. They drain sand from different non-essential universes to keep the supply of sand in ours steady. It's nothing like that, but the metaphor roughly holds. Question last, but certainly not least, who are you two? Doctors James Caldman and Carlos Rzewski. Questions, confusion, accusations, come to Fact 2, the Electric Boogaloo, where all your human-related questions will be answered. Fact Part 2, how long is this one? This one is significantly longer, and let's hope that it's not very important that we read this one too, but how long is this one? A transcript of Dr. Clef's seminar, Reality Benders and You, How to Survive When Existence Doesn't. Alright, I'm gonna read this too, and then I'll move back to the last entry of the episode. Afternoon, everyone. Have a seat. Get a cup of coffee and a muffin. Also a reminder, the seminar rooms are a weapons-free zone. Please make sure you've surrendered your weapons at the reception desk. I know, it's bullshit, but the last thing I need is an L5 complaining because one of you walking around the blue zones with your piece. Everyone good? Cool. Today's seminar is about a subject near dear to my heart, reality benders. Type greens, Mary Sue's, Bixby's, Shapers, Wizards, Gods, Devils, Outside Observers, call them what you will. These are the guys that change reality based on perception and willpower. I've made a career out of both containing and killing these guys. You're here to get certified to do the same thing. Want to know my secret? We'll get to that later. First of all, I want you to take a look at the doors to the seminar room. Notice something about them? Look again. What doors? Yes, the doors are gone. Take a closer look if you want. Touch them. They're not there. The doors have literally disappeared, but that's okay, right? You can still get out the windows if you want, except there's one small problem. There aren't any windows in this room either, are there? All the windows are gone. There's nothing but 4 blank walls, a ceiling, and a floor. No way out, but how did you get in? Starting to freak out a bit? Don't worry, just take a deep breath. You're going to be alright. Just a bit of a change in the way the room's set up. It's not like anything worse is happening. I mean, it could be worse, right? At least you're safe in here. It's not like the desks are coming alive to kill you now, is it? Oh wait, yes they are! The fucking desks are going to kill you! What are you gonna do? How are you gonna survive? The goddamn room is alive and going to eat you! Watch out for those fucking desks! They've got teeth! Get the fuck away from there now! You wanna live? You're gonna have to fight! Don't try to deny it, you motherfuckers! This is real! This is happening! This is a reality bend and you're gonna die unless you can fight it now! Oh, I see. A real tough guy, huh? What the fuck are you gonna do with that 9mm? That gun really gonna do anything against a reality bender? I can turn your goddamn bullets into sand. I can turn your eyes into jello. I can turn your gun into a fucking bagel. Now put that damn gun down and lie on the fucking ground, you fuck nugget. I am a living god, and you are nothing but a fucking insect. What do I want? What do I want? What the shit do I need from a fucking turd like you? I don't want anything that you can give me except to be my plaything. And that's all you fuckers are gonna be. You're gonna be nothing but toys in the front of this God King for all eternity. There's no escape, no respite. You will live when I say live, you will die only if I allow it. There is nothing left but my imagination, and you are all figments of it. Alright, hit the lights. Everybody breathe in and out. Deep. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Feeling better now? Let me tell you what just happened. Each and every one of you has just had a bad trip. All of the food on that back table was laced with a powerful hallucinogen. It's my own personal recipe. In addition to hallucinations, it renders one very susceptible to suggestion. Combined with some simple hypnosis and some special effects trickery, the end result is as close as we can get to showing you what a reality bender attacks feel like. The support staff are pumping in an aerosolized counter agent into the air vents as we speak. It's gonna feel like shit in a moment. You'll find barf bags under your chairs. Take a moment to let it all out. I want you to reflect back on that moment when you realized what was happening. Do you remember that feeling of helplessness? Do you remember what it felt like to realize that reality no longer existed and you were nothing but toys for a hostile will that controlled everything? Remember that, and hold on to it for the first time you're about to go up against a reality bender. If you ever think that maybe you can contain them, or maybe they can be reasoned with, remember what it felt like when you were tripping balls and nothing was real. Then kill that motherfucker before he knows you're even there. You're all certified now. Class dismissed. That was fun. And that brings us to the flesh that hates. Which is also Keter. And I can't really just do the thing I did for the last one. I gotta do actual serious Keter voice now. Also, it looks terrifying. Due to the vast area of infection SCP-610 covers, containment is impossible. Isolation of the area has proven far more effective, and permission has been granted by the Russian government to establish a perimeter to keep people out of these areas under the guise of military operations. Should any organism displaying traits consistent with SCP-610 be sighted near the perimeter, then the established protocol requires it be engaged at range with small arms until immobile, then dispatched using incendiary weapons and munitions from as great a distance as possible. Any living thing coming in physical contact with an organism infected with 610 is considered expendable and is to be immediately terminated and incinerated. Any persons coming within 3 meters of 610 infected life are to immediately withdraw from the area, be isolated from the rest of their team, and subjected to a medical examination using only remote techniques to determine if infection has occurred, and appropriate steps taken based on that determination. At present, the known infection vectors for 610 spread seem to be focused on physical contact. Drone movements within heavily infected areas have returned air samples containing minute particulate which, when exposed to organic compounds, will result in the spread of 610. The results of these particular tests have revealed that most require several days to manifest, if at all, with the exception of direct contact with exposed lung and liver tissue. These particular tests show a rapid rate of growth, which requires incineration of the testing environment no more than 24 hours after initial exposure, with even a 2-hour mishap risking a compromised facility event. Given that this kind of rapid growth only occurs in organic material existing outside the human body, this form of infection is currently considered a minor concern. These peculiarities have given rise to a series of questions regarding the possible origin of the infection in conjunction with the failed data expunged. Containment protocol remains at a scorched earth policy at this time, and no concern for transmission via water or air at infection parameters exists barring situational changes in the field. Description. Where does this map go? Let's open that. Initial reports of 610 came direct from the Russian government through undisclosable channels. These reports consisted primarily of disappearances of farmers in the region, and were not considered until the local police, followed by the regional police, and finally a government-dispatched agent all failed to report within a 72-hour period. A small military contingent was dispatched to the area and quickly withdrew, at which point the Foundation was contacted to investigate. The area 610 affects is close to Lake Baikal in southern Siberia. Areas of known infection are marked on a map provided to us here. It's pretty bad. Containment perimeters are marked in blue surrounding these infection areas, and as of present, no further locations have been identified. Incursions into the perimeter must be reported prior to conducting, confirmed during exploration, and debriefed on immediately following return. SCP-610 appears to be a contagious skin disease, at first with symptoms including rash, itching, and increased skin sensitivity. Within 3 hours, the disease will cause blemishes resembling heavy scar tissue to form in the chest and arm areas, spreading to the legs and back within an additional hour, consuming the victim completely within 5 hours. Exposure to higher temperatures vastly decreases the time for the contagion to spread, and complete infections have been recorded occurring in as little as 5 minutes. After the completion of the infection, the victim's life functions will cease for approximately 3 minutes, after which time they will restart at 2 to 3 times the activity rate of a normal human. Following this, the scar tissue on the victims will start to move of its own accord and grow at a rapid rate. Normal human features start to disappear at this point under the infection, and the path of mutation appears to be largely random. Subjects observed in this stage of infection have been recorded as growing three or more limbs of a type, such as arms or legs. The head may become misshapen and elongate or widen out, and parts of the subject may split open from which additional branches of flesh will grow. The duration of this stage of the infection is unknown, and not all subjects appear to progress to the later stages. Under unknown conditions, an infected individual will cease moving and place itself in a location it deems suitable where it roots itself. The fleshy growth on the victim will then begin to spread itself across all surrounding objects and consume them. Such objects do not spread the infection as living creatures do, however, and the effect of prolonged contact with these objects is recorded later in this document. It is assumed that this behavior is to create an area hospitable to continued growth of the other infected. Observation of life infected by 610 by staff is impossible. Those infected with the disease immediately seek out aid as natural human impulse, resulting in unintended infections. Those infected past the scar tissue phase actively and aggressively attempt to infect anyone approaching them within an undefined area. It has been established that should an infected be capable of sight and observe an uninfected, it will proceed towards them. If the infected has lost the ability of sight, a range of approximately 30 meters is considered safe. Observation of 610 infected settlements has been established using artificial methods such as remote robots. The data returned from these observations, coupled with the openly aggressive nature of the infected to attempt to spread 610, has resulted in the Keter classification. However, so long as nothing is allowed to enter or leave the infected areas, it is considered a neutralized threat. Of concern are the cavernous areas beneath the infected settlements that were discovered during the exploration, and attempts to get research personnel into those areas are underway. The following report is for Class A or higher personnel only. Unauthorized viewing of this file is strictly prohibited and will be considered a violation of Foundation contracts and a breach of international law. And then there's just 6 logs, which is a small remote-controlled rover sent into Site A to locate missing personnel, an infected Class D personnel sent into Site C with video equipment, initial discovery of the tunnel entrances at Site A, unmanned exploration of Site A tunnels, and manned exploration of Site A tunnels. Let me just check to see how long at least one of these is. Okay, these seem long enough to, at the very least, not do them right now. But if anybody wants me to come back to them, let me know in the comments, and I'll do that. I guess I'll add that to, if not this Saturday's SCP Saturday, whenever the next one happens. So if you want me to cover these, I'll add those to that. So, in any case, that about does it for this episode. In the next one, we'll be covering the Parasitic Toothpick, Aggressive Cable, Wonder Bread, IP address 57.32.blank, and Stick Block. So, this has been Anachi Sasuke. This is episode 131 of Let's Read the SCP Foundation Wiki. If you liked it, a like and a subscribe will be groovy. If you didn't, you don't need to do either one of those things. And I'll see y'all in the next one. Later.